G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're breaking from the usual format and speaking with the subject matter expert on trust-based selling. I'm interviewing Ari Galper from Unlock the Game. He's based in Sydney, Australia. Ari is known as the world's #1 authority on trust-based selling. Thanks for your time today, Ari.
Appreciate you having me. Looking forward to it.
Let's start with how we know each other. So Elisa on your team reached out, thought you might be a good guest to have on, and really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background and experience.
So you probably got the accent. I'm originally from California, US. Been in Australia now for 20 years. Americans seem to keep their accents the same for some reason. Don't change too much. But I love being here, run the business now virtually. But there's a story behind the concept around trust-based selling that I experienced about 20 years ago. And I'll tell the story now, which help your listeners get more engaged with the content here. I was a sales manager in a software company back then, and we launched the first online website tracking tools. Now it's called Google Analytics. I'm sure you probably heard of that before.
Yeah.
But we launched the first tools back then. I was managing underneath me 18 salespeople at the time, and fast growing business. And the big leads came across my desk, the big opportunities. I got this one inbound call, and I picked the phone up and I heard Mr. Galper. I said, yeah, we had a quick conversation. He's with a big, huge business. They have multiple websites. And if I close this one sale, it will double turnover of the business in one go. That's how big it was. Big company. So he agrees to a conference call and a demo of our product. And the day finally came, Friday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I went in the conference room with my CEO and our closed door behind me, a big long conference table. And the little table is the old school speaker phones. Remember the old black ones with the 3 legs on it, Star Trek looking phones?
Yeah.
So I hit the dial tone, dialed the number. He picks it up. He says, hey, Ari. I said, hey, how's it going? Good. And he says to me, Ari, let us tell you who's with us on the phone today. I said, great. Who else is there? Next thing I hear is, my name is Michael. I'm CEO. I was like, oh, this is good. My name is Chris. I'm head of IT. This is even better. My name is Julie. I'm head of global marketing. Amazing. I mean, everybody on this call was a decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen today because they're all there. So I introduced myself and described what we do. And we logged in, started giving them a live demo to see what it looks like, to see all their information on their websites ahead of time collected. They can see what it looks like to use our tool. And I'm showing this to them, clicking around. And I start hearing this noise on the phone call, like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. This is fantastic. They start asking me all kinds of questions. How do we use it? How do we install it? Who are your clients? How does it work? They asked me all the right kinds of questions. And of course, I had all the answers. I mean, there was so much chemistry on this phone call, Troy. It was like a love fest on the phone.
I'm guessing it's not a good ending to this story. It goes to shit.
Well, you never know because it was going great so far. It was honestly, it was an amazing call. Call goes by, an hour goes by. They're loving it. I'm like, this is amazing. This is such the perfect call. The call comes to an end. I say my goodbyes. I take my arm and my hand and I reach for the speakerphone and I'm reaching for the off button. As I reach for the off button, by complete accident, I hit the mute button instead of the off button. They were right next to each other and a small click happened and they thought I hung up the phone. In that split second, a voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly on the wall. Go where no one's ever gone before. And I pulled my thumb back for a couple of seconds. They started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call. So what would you expect them to say after a call like that? What would you imagine them saying?
Well, let's get moving on this. It sounds like a fantastic product. Yeah.
Sure. That's what you expect them to say. But I'll tell you what I heard from them word for word. I'll never forget it. It's why we're here today. They said this. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife and heart twist. I was in a state of shock.
Yeah.
I snapped out of it, hit the off button, and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was everything I was taught to do with the sales gurus. I was competent, professional, built trust. And the first big epiphany hit me, that was this. Somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell,
Yep.
right? It's okay to say things like, sounds good, send me information. Oh, we're definitely interested. Wait, send me a proposal without any intention of
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, that's not fair on anyone, is it?
No. And I asked myself, why were they afraid to tell me the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Why all the games? And I realized there's a game going on right now in the sales business world where we're playing a game with these buyers where they keep their guard up. They don't tell us the truth, forcing us to chase them because of a lack of trust in the process. And I realized if I could figure out a way to unlock this game and put trust in the sales process for deep trust, that I can have both parties feel comfortable opening up from the beginning and saying where they stand. And that began my whole unlock the game philosophy and movement over the last 20 years, which changed people's lives and how to sell with trust and authenticity. That's the whole story behind it.
Yeah, great. Because I think there is a real problem in the sales role in companies. Exactly what you're saying. Trust. It goes both ways, obviously. So it's great that you've worked on this over the last 20 years. Before we get too far down, maybe let's mention how people can get in touch with you. What's the best way?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, you can reach me there. I have a show I do once a month called Stump the Guru, where you can jump on live and ask me any questions you want. Live streaming, just connect with me there, say hello, or unlockthegame.com. There's a free course there and my book's there as well, Unlock the Sales Game.
Great. Well, we'll link through to those in the show notes.
Thank you.
Maybe outline for the audience, what is trust-based selling?
So trust-based selling is almost like a doctor-patient relationship where your prospect's the patient and you're the doctor. Your job is not to prescribe the medicine or the solution before you diagnose the problem. So we teach people how to build what I call deep trust on initial call with somebody or Zoom call or phone call, where you unpack their issue and they have the sense of, he just gets me.
Yep.
Deep trust where they feel comfortable opening up to you and you can decide together if you're fit or not. If you're a fit, great, you onboard them. If you're not a fit, let them go. So deep trust-based selling is about not chasing people, not pitching yourself, but being authentic and real and focusing on them and not you.
Yep. I think it was David H. Meister wrote The Trusted Advisor after he wrote Managing a Professional Services Firm, which also I think was a good book in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge area that needs a lot of work.
Definitely. I think right now, most people, owners of companies, are conditioned to sell one way, which is to promote their product, to discuss their solution, to move people forward, to go to a next step. And that whole way of conditioning no longer fits in our new economy now with COVID and how people are scared of people being selling to them and the whole lack of trust. You got to change your approach to match the psychology of the buyer today.
Yep. Now, I know you've got a few books there on your website. So can you pick out maybe some examples for the audience, what you're talking about? Obviously, there's a lot more in the material you've got in the coaching you do, but any examples you can give?
Sure. So one of my books is called Unlock the Sales Game, that you can get at the website. And in there, I map out and provide different points of what I call languaging. I've developed my own what I call trust-based languaging, words and phrases that build trust with people in the beginning of the process. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're going to call with somebody over the phone and they're a prospect. Good opportunity, good qualified, call is going well, call comes to an end. Usually in sales, what do we do end of call like that? We say things like, how about we move forward, get together, have a cup of coffee, next step, right? But if you move, what happens if you move them forward too early in the process?
Mm-hmm.
You break trust with them, right? So same scenario, our approach. Call's going well, good chemistry, call comes to a close. Rather than trying to move them forward, what we say instead is this. We say, where do you think we should go from here?
It's a small, subtle change. I think I've picked up what you're saying there. Instead of saying me, or when you say we, what should we do this? It's really me as a salesperson. Whereas you're focusing your language on them and putting the power of guiding where the next steps are in their hands.
Yeah. When you say to somebody, where do you think we should go from here?
Yep.
They're usually in a state of shock
Yeah.
They can't believe somebody actually asked them what they want to do because they're so used to being pulled down a process to a next step that puts their guard up, which breaks the trust. So
Yeah.
we all of our approaches are very contrarian. It's the opposite direction. So we don't move people forward. We move them down what we call the iceberg, where we unpack their issue, help them understand the impact of it, and have them own the problem before we move them forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. I can see how that could be very, very powerful. Obviously, the language, the words we use, and our vocabulary, both in sales, leadership, and management, is very, very powerful. And people do notice, if not consciously, subconsciously, whether you are there for selfish means for yourself, or you're actually there to serve, whether it's a customer or your direct report.
For sure.
And maybe explain to the audience why this is important when growing a small business.
Well, look, if you're starting a business or trying to grow a company, you have to generate sales, but you don't want to have to sell in a way that's out of integrity. That makes you feel uncomfortable. That changes who you are. You know, what we do is sometimes we go to work, we put what we call sales armor on, armor around us that protects us from the bullets coming our way, from the pressure, from the chasing, from all that we hate so much. So the whole idea is to be authentic with people and to have a model and a framework to focus in on their issue. So if you can start your business by learning how to build trust first and not sell the other way, you'll immediately get a lot of opportunity coming your way because they'll feel that you care about them and not just about your offering.
I think this is the exact opposite of what Alec Baldwin plays in Glengarry. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
There's a brilliant, for the audience, Google it. We might link through it in the show notes, but I use it sometimes when I talk about sales. And one of his pitch in this, they're selling real estate, are they? It's a bit of a high pressure. It's a shitty sales team. They're really way down their numbers. I think it was an early 90s film. And it's one of the most powerful 15 minutes in film, I think. And I use it sometimes and talk about sales. Obviously, don't do this. One of his phrases is ABC, always be closing. And it's all about them, the salespeople, not about helping the prospect or the customer. Yeah.
I think there's a lack of trust right now and a lack of caring in the business environment. And I think prospects and customers feel that from us. And if we're coming in with a hidden agenda to make the sale, it's over and hello. You lost them right there.
Yeah, especially this day and age, people are much more about integrity and authentic, or people being authentic, and you will get found out, sooner rather than later, and you're just wasting your time.
Correct.
Be the change you want to see in your business. Become more productive and less stressed with our free Transform Your Performance online course. Once you see the benefits, put your entire team through the course at no cost. We start out by telling you the secret to guaranteed success, then over 100 lessons help you be more focused, present, productive, and feel more in control about work. growasmallbusiness.com. What are the habits and myths that we have to shift to be successful in trust-based selling?
Look, I think we need to really address some of the old conditioning in the back of our minds, some sales myths. Like one's a classic one. I'm sure you heard this one. It's sales is a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Remember that the idea behind that is the more contacts you make, the more sales you make. Well, we discovered in this economy now, it's not about how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how deep you go on each conversation, how good you are at trust building, not how good you are at how many contacts you make.
Yeah.
The second myth is the idea the sale is lost at the end of the process. And I'm sure you've been there before in your business where you had a deal pending, it all looked good, and then it just kind of fell through. It's like, what happened? It was a good fit with us. We're all good to go. Well, we discovered now the sale is not lost anymore at the end of the process. It's now lost at the beginning, at hello. And I'll prove it to you right now in a fun way. If someone calls your office tomorrow morning and you pick the phone up and you hear, hi, my name is, I'm with, we are a, what goes through your mind in about 3 seconds?
Yeah. No, thanks. And just hang up. Yeah.
Over and hello.
Yes.
So I'm not suggesting that your listeners are all making outbound calls, but I'll make the case that they're losing their opportunities no longer at the end of the cycle. They're losing at the beginning.
Yep.
Because trust is broken there. And the last one's an important one. That rejection is part of the sales game. If you can't take a no, if you're not tough enough or thick-skinned enough, you're not made for success. Well, we discovered that rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do that cause the other person to push back on you. And I'll share some of those triggers today that'll help people realize that they themselves are causing the lack of sales, not the market or the customer.
Yep. Yeah, great. Well, maybe do you want to talk something about those triggers?
Yeah. So one of them is languaging. The words that you use, not scripting, but natural words. I gave one example there when I said, rather than move things forward, instead you say, where do you think we should go from here?
Yep.
That alone does not trigger pressure. Another classic one is a sales word is the word, would you be interested in this? Interested. That's a classic 80s sales word. So instead, you replace that with, would you be open?
Yep.
So the words that you use can trigger your guard to go up. Also, delivery, the way you go about saying it. But you say to somebody, hey, where do we should go from here? They can feel it's not authentic. When you say, where do you think we should go from here?
Yep. Yeah.
So delivery, languaging is all that triggers their guard to go up, and you end up pushing against that wall.
Yep. Yeah, no, I definitely noticed when I'm approached and recently been looking for new offshore app phone developers, and one guy just keeps emailing, can we have a call tomorrow at 9 a.m. your time? It's just like, no, I mean, you can't see my calendar. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, they keep pushing and pushing. It's funny because now we have social media, we have LinkedIn, but people are still taking their old sales conditioning and pushing it through the new mediums. So you get noise everywhere. LinkedIn, your inbox is full of people pitching to you right now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's all because people have not changed their approach in 2 decades.
What are some of the core principles behind your approach?
Sure. So one of the core principles is the idea of what I call getting to the truth with people. Now, what that means is having them feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you where they stand. I'll give you an example of this. I recently had someone call my office. They got through my team, got to me. I picked the phone up and I heard Mr. Galper. I said, yeah. He says, my name is John Johnson. Changed the name. I'm with XYZ company. We're looking to hire someone like yourself to bring you in and change our sales culture and our performance. We're looking at you and 2 other people. We'd like to know, first of all, why should we go with you? Why are you the best? And give me your best sales pitch. He says this to me inbound.
Yep.
Because he's in the game. He's up here in the sales game. So I took a deep breath. I lowered my voice. I got centered in my approach. And I said this to him. I said, well, isn't that interesting? Then I paused. And I said to him, over here, our company, we have a similar process to you. We ask a few questions and to see if we're a good fit and gather information. If we're a good fit, we keep going from there. Would you be open to that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then nothing on the phone. I was like, oh, he's still there? Then he lowers his voice. He relaxes. He breathed across the phone. I could tell his shoulders came down. He became a human being again, not a robot. And he says to me, okay, what kind of questions do you have for me?
That's great. Yeah.
Next thing I know, the tables are turned. I'm asking the questions. I discover 1, he's not a decision maker. 2, he has no budget. And 3, he just curious as to what I do.
Yep. Right. Well, that's saved you a lot of time then, hasn't it? Rather than going down a rabbit hole of wasting weeks.
Saved me time chasing, pursuing, energy, and most importantly, there's this drug in our bodies, and it's triggered with inbound calls like that. You know the drug is called?
Dopamine?
Hopium. You know the hopium drug?
Yeah.
You get so excited. Oh, I got the call. You go back to work. Guess what? I got the phone call. I'm so excited. You're all, yeah. And you call, you follow up with them. They're not there. And you go to your email and you write an email. You say, hi, I'm writing you to follow up on our account, and then no word back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask all your listeners right now to take an oath with me, an oath to never again, after this recording, ever again use the phrase follow up in the rest of your career forever as of today.
Yeah.
What's the only industry in the world that uses the word follow up?
Yeah.
Sales.
Any other core principles that you want to talk about?
That's the main one right there I wanted to cover.
Yeah, great. What about any professional development resources you'd recommend for the audience? You've got a few books here on your website, I can see, which is great, obviously.
Look, if this resonates with you and you want to make that shift, then obviously the original book called Unlock the Sales Game is available now at unlockthegame.com. But I have a new one coming out this year called The One Call Sale, which is more advanced, which is how to onboard somebody on one single call without following up. That's also going to come out soon. So, but I get the Unlock the Sales Game book first.
Yep. Right, Andre, our final few questions. What do you think is the hardest thing when it comes to trust-based selling for small businesses?
Probably letting go of the sale, letting go of your own goal in the back of your subconscious. Because if you show up on a call with somebody and they can tell,
that you're desperate
to your goal, you're hungry for the sale, it's over right there.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, changing your mindset, and then from that, obviously, your habits, because a lot of these things you don't have control over unless you really work on, like, the words that you use. Yeah. And what is the one thing you'd say to a small business owner starting out in their growth journey on day one?
I'd say stop selling and build trust instead.
Yep.
Because ironically, you make more sales that way.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks for your time today, Ari. I think the audience got a lot of value out of what you shared with us, and a very important part of business, obviously, small business particularly. And I think it's an area underdeveloped, or managers and owners of businesses don't throw enough training and resources at this, and really encourage them to have a look at your book and your resources.
Thank you so much.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.